welcome back to another video, guys. Well, today is the 30th of November, which is technically still fall, but in most areas, at least Germany and Europe, it is starting to snow, becoming cozy, becoming a bit brighter outside during the night when the snow is not melting. Well, it's good for me because I'm night blind. I can finally see again in the night, but yeah, it's that time of the year. It is the last 4 weeks before Christmas, or 3 weeks from now on, not really sure, 3 to 4 weeks. And what better topic than building a little winter diorama? And without further ado, let's jump straight into the diorama, tank build and then into the diorama build. Today's tank is the KV-220-2 from PST. I saw this one in a night shift video back in the day, and I thought it would make for a really interesting kit, since the KV-220 with the KV-1 turret is considered prototype tool if you read Soviet archives. And let's say it had 3 different color variations of its plastic, so yeah, it was kind of shocking to build. And well, one thing I noticed during the build, that there are some errors in the kit, which I just would assume I've gotten a bad production. But you can see here that for the upper wheels that are supporting the tracks, the pin is somehow missing, and I had to rebuild it with some, leftover plastic from the sprue. I mean, it turns out great on the running gear, you don't really see it. But yeah, it was a bit problematic, not gonna lie. Turret is a basic KV-1 turret with the short 76mm gun. Since this tank has been lost around October-ish, or close to November, in 1941 around Leningrad, I got inspired due to the box art to make a diorama later on. But for the build, let's just say the kit is kind of straightforward, but the plastic, oh boy, how do I say it? The dark gray is, not really, doesn't really love to coexist with each other, except with the lighter gray parts. And the turret, you can see it very badly here, had to be cut to 160 millimeters, so 1.6 centimeters, which is okay, it's something doable, but it really annoyed me. Also, it isn't really detailed. I mean, yes, you have pins on the tank, no, bolts, bolts. You have bolts on the tank that you see clearly, they're good. That's a good mold for a bolt in 70 scale. But other things like exhausts the tracks, they were really a pain to build. Also, here we have a rare example of me gluing the tracks on. And yes, I glued them on before painting. Not because they are black and I don't really care, but because it's necessary. The tracks are really bad. I would say this kit is as bad or even worse than the Raffle T90. Just think of it for a moment and let it sink in. I assembled the tank somehow without losing my mind and did a dry fit. I glued everything together, well, except the turret, and then I went to paint the tank. And for painting, I skipped the pre-shading part. I mean, it's black and white, you all know it for my channel. And I'm kind of in a hurry today because I still have to clean up something in my apartment. But the green you see here that I applied is my own mixture of Soviet 4BO. I'll put a link in the info card at about here, and I made a short about how to mix it, where you actually have the paint ratios if you want to mix it yourself. I have to note here, while painting the turret, I thought to, leave it more green with more pronounced shades, but then the thought came to my mind, why not doing this on a bigger KV-1 in the future? So I completely skipped that part and went on with a winter camouflage. I used two methods here. The first one being the hairspray method. I mean, you see that the tank got a bit warmer. That's because I sprayed hairspray onto it. And then I just took some Tamiya XF2 flat white and sprayed it on the tank hull with a good coverage, so the green doesn't show under it anymore. Thing is with the hairspray technique, after like 2 minutes the hairspray is set, but not really fully dry. So it is like chipping varnish basically. Then you just take your paintbrush, put it into water and chip the white paint off as much as you want for the, well, usage of the winter camo. And always the top parts of the tank are more stripped than the sides and front, because that's basically where all the crew and infantry is supposed to walk on the tank and touch it. Don't worry about the sides of the turret though, they can be stripped as much as you want, or, well, basically be kept green for the most parts. Because, well, it is some area where you lean against, put stuff against, climb on, so you can get into the tank. Thing is, I use a different method of winter camo on top of the chipping method, which is basically just repainting over old camo. Which means in return we have a very hard used tank, or the, well, winter camo is stripped off mostly. And I just went over it with the airbrush with, well, very little air coming out to cover some areas and give it this more oversprayed or partially oversprayed look as a little, well, field modification slash upgrade slash rework. Whatever you want to call it. And after the second layer was set, I went over it again with the paintbrush. Well, thing is, now the hairspray has been drying for quite some time, but it still can be a bit reactivated, and the airbrush is just there to make some minor scratches or just take the XF white off, since it's a color that you can also dilute with water a bit. And it was just a little touch up in some areas, and I think it worked out great. And after the paint has been dried, I put on the decals that are on the tank, and then some flat clear on the tank, and now we are moving on to the diorama. So, the base is pretty simple. We have some dark earth from AK as the ground base, and some wintry trees. I, well, made them basically myself with the snow from AK that I still have left over from the diorama. Also, I'm laying down glue here. And why is that? Because I just wanted to add some static grass with a static grass applier. It is my first time using this, and I thought with the snow I can hide the mistakes I've made or the color of the grass. And oh boy, the grass was way too vibrant for winter. I mean, yes, grass is supposed to be a bit vibrant in like snowy areas. It just, you know, catches your eye a bit when you have a little flock of grass sticking out of snow, but oh boy, it was way too much. And to hide my mistake, I fastly applied some AK snow all above it, And I mean, some is sticking out, some is still visible. Looks kind of great, not gonna lie. But after this, I set it to dry and called it good. And there we have it. A KV-220-2 Diorama, Leningrad, 1941. Winter 1941. So this diorama is, of course, as always, pure fiction. I just thought the box art looked nice from the kit and I got inspired by it and was like, yeah, maybe I will build it that way. I tried new techniques, yes. The winter camo, especially the winter camo. I mean, last year in like November, I did a winter camo only with the hairspray method. I mean, which is still great and I will still one day probably make some shorts out of it, but yeah, who knows. Anyways, the kit is... I don't like the kit. It's trash. It's worse than the Revit T90, and I have the Revit T90 in my collection as well. Maybe one day I will build it into a little diorama as well and put both side by side. And we see how good I am at winter stuff. Anyways, if you want the KV-220-2, just buy a normal one in 1/35 scale from, I think, Trumpeter has them in its KV line, and get a KV-1 turret and just, you know, scratch build it yourself. You won't regret it. Trust me, you won't. Yeah. Anyways, even though it's such a problematic kit, I still like my little diorama here. I like the winter camo that I did. And the winterish trees, even though I could have just bought some, you know, pre-manufactured, already finished winter trees. But yeah, that's no biggie. I just have to try and find out what works best for me. And now for the fundraising. Well, fundraising. And as you can see, we have a pretty big amount of coins here and even a €5 note. So we basically gathered here 20 euros and, let me look it up, 82 cents, which is much. And this brings us to a total of 142 euros and 1 cent. This is only collected by cans and bottles that I found at and around my workplace that people just have left on the street or thrown away, and that I found in my town. 7.99 are missing for the 150 euro mark, and I will sponsor those from my personal amount, and then hopefully in 2 weeks I can upload a video of packing all the presents that I am going to buy for children who live in orphanages and who deserve a gift under their tree as well. For everyone who has watched this far and has been keeping track, this is something that really makes me tear up, and I'm very happy to have gathered this amount of money. And it makes me proud. I achieved something in 11 months, even though some months I clearly didn't find as much as in others, but I have to, list with the months here, and I'm just stunned on how much I'm able to find in 11 months. Maybe if I would do it from then next month, from December 25 to November 26, I might find the same or even more on the streets. So yeah, that's a pretty nice sum. And with that, we are at the end of the video again. As I said before, I don't like the kit, but I like how the diorama turned out. And I hope you guys can write me a comment if you think I should improve something on the next diorama that I build in winter. If I did a completely unnecessary job with the static graphs, or what you like most about the diorama, or what's your experience with PST. Please let me know if you have any experience with PST. That's it for today, guys. I wish you a very nice rest of your day, and until December 7th, goodbye.